Imagine if Bridgerton Season 4 wasn't just another love story, but a glittering fairy tale straight out of our childhood dreams. Picture a masquerade ball, candlelight flickering, and Benedict Bridgerton's eyes locking on a mysterious woman who disappears before midnight. Doesn't that sound like the perfect Cinderella twist waiting to unfold? Fans have been whispering for years about whether Benedict's journey will echo the classic Cinderella story. And with Season 4 on the horizon, the question grows louder. Are we finally about to see Benedict's romantic destiny revealed? Every season of Bridgerton has given us a dazzling romance focused on one sibling's search for love. In Season 1, we were swept into Daphne and Simon's fiery and complicated love story. In Season 2, the spotlight shifted to Anthony, who battled between duty and desire before choosing true love with Kate Sharma. Then came Season 3, where Colin Bridgerton and Penelope Featherington finally stepped out of the shadows into their long-awaited love story, a journey filled with tension, friendship, and transformation. Now, with three siblings paired off, the audience naturally turns its gaze to the next eligible Bridgerton. And who better than Benedict, the second son of the family, the one with an artist's soul and a restless heart. For book readers, this is where things get exciting. Julia Quinn's third novel in the Bridgerton series, An Offer from a Gentleman, places Benedict at the center of a Cinderella-inspired romance. In this story, he becomes enchanted by Sophie Beckett, a young woman trapped in a cruel stepmother's household, only to meet him at a masked ball that changes her life forever. But here's the twist. Netflix has already proven it doesn't always follow the exact order or structure of the novels. Season 3, for example, skipped Benedict's story and instead chose to tell Colin and Penelope's. This creative freedom keeps fans guessing and fuels endless debates. Will Season 4 finally align with the books and give Benedict his fairy tale? Or will the show throw us another unexpected surprise? The possibility of a Cinderella arc makes Season 4 one of the most anticipated chapters yet. Because at its heart, Bridgerton is not just about lavish costumes and scandalous gossip. It's about timeless romance. And what story is more timeless than Cinderella? That's why fans across the globe are holding their breath, waiting to see if Benedict's journey will step straight into the slippers of this fairy tale destiny. Benedict Bridgerton has always been more than just another charming member of London's high society. From the very first season, he has stood out. Not because he is the eldest or the most responsible, but because of his restless spirit. He is the dreamer in a family defined by duty. While Anthony shouldered the weight of the Bridgerton name and Colin wrestled with finding his place, Benedict seemed to drift on a different current altogether. He has always been chasing something beyond titles and traditions, something that feels like freedom, and perhaps like destiny. We've seen Benedict in moments of quiet rebellion. Remember his adventures into London's bohemian art circles? The smoky rooms, the daring conversations, and the freedom he found in spaces where rules didn't matter. Those moments weren't just about art. They revealed a man searching for meaning, for identity, and for love unchained by the expectations of his family. He laughed easily, lived freely, and yet there was always a flicker of longing in his eyes, as if he knew that all the late nights and wild adventures were only distractions from the truth. He was waiting for someone who could see him, not just as a Bridgerton, but as Benedict, and here's where the intrigue begins. Benedict has already brushed against fairy tale-like encounters in past seasons. The masked ball in Season 1, when he wandered the floor lit with candlelight and mystery, carried whispers of a Cinderella moment. He found himself captivated by women who were not of his world, drawn to connections that defied social boundaries. That curiosity, that yearning for something beyond class and status, makes him the perfect candidate for a love story that feels larger than life. Unlike Anthony, whose love story was tangled in responsibility, or Colin, whose romance bloomed out of friendship, Benedict's heart is built for fantasy. His journey isn't just about falling in love, it's about finding a connection so powerful, it feels like fate. He is the Bridgerton most likely to step into a fairy tale, and the show has been dropping hints all along. Every smile, every unfinished glance, every restless decision is leading him towards something extraordinary. Something that just might look like a Cinderella story, There's a reason fans can't stop linking Benedict Bridgerton's future to the tale of Cinderella. The clues are not subtle. They're woven into the fabric of his journey like golden thread. In Julia Quinn's novel, An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict's romance with Sophie Beckett is a direct homage to the timeless fairy tale. But even without opening a single page of the book, the show itself has been quietly setting the stage for something strikingly familiar. Think back to the masquerade ball in Season 1. The music swelled, masks concealed identities, and the entire night shimmered with enchantment. For a moment it felt as if we had stepped into a different story, one where magic lingered in the air. And at the center of it all was Benedict, moving through the crowd with a sense of wonder, searching for something he couldn't name. Doesn't that sound like a prince wandering through a ballroom waiting for his Cinderella to appear? But this isn't just about glass slippers and midnight escapes. The Cinderella parallels run deeper. At the heart of the fairy tale lies a contrast between two worlds: the glittering halls of privilege and the quiet struggles of the overlooked. Benedict has always straddled these two spaces. His curiosity about life beyond the polished Bridgerton estate, his fascination with artists, outsiders, and free spirits, all of it mirrors the essence of Cinderella's journey. She belongs to a world of hardship but dreams of something brighter. He belongs to a world of privilege but yearns for something real. Together they complete each other's story. And then comes Sophie Beckett, at least in the novels. The illegitimate daughter of an earl, treated as a servant in her own home, Sophie's life is pure Cinderella. When she sneaks into a masquerade ball, dressed not as a servant but as the woman she longs to be, she captures Benedict's heart in an instant. Their love story is one of masks, secrets, and impossible odds. And doesn't that sound like the perfect recipe for a Bridgerton season, where scandal, desire, and forbidden love dance under the chandeliers? The brilliance of this setup is how it allows Benedict to live in a space that is both fairy tale and reality. A masked romance that begins like a dream, but soon collides with the brutal truths of class, reputation, and family duty. That collision between fantasy and reality is what makes Benedict's potential Cinderella arc so irresistible. It's not just another love story, it's a test of whether true love can survive when the clock strikes midnight. Every great mystery leaves breadcrumbs, and Bridgerton has been scattering them across its glittering ballroom floors. To some they look like passing moments, but to fans watching closely, they're hints. Fragments of a puzzle pointing straight toward Benedict's Cinderella destiny. First, there's the dialogue. Benedict has often spoken of wanting more, of craving something beyond the safe boundaries of society. These aren't throwaway lines. They echo the inner voice of a man waiting for a love that feels fated, a connection that shatters the rules. Fans argue that this longing is the very heartbeat of his Cinderella arc, the proof that his story will not be one of convenience, but of destiny. Then there are the parties, the masquerade in Season 1, the many glittering gatherings where Benedict always seems just a little out of step, a little more enchanted by mystery than by formality. It's almost as if the writers are rehearsing him for the moment when he will finally lock eyes with Sophie Beckett, or perhaps with a brand new character created by Netflix. After all, the series has already proven it enjoys remixing Julia Quinn's novels, twisting familiar tales into fresh surprises. Could Sophie already be among us, hidden in plain sight, waiting to return in Season 4 with her mask finally removed? Fan theories swirl like gossip in Lady Whistledown's papers. Some believe Sophie may have been teased in earlier seasons, disguised as a background character or hinted through symbolic details. The fleeting shots of servants in ballrooms, the emphasis on class divides, the subtle looks Benedict casts at women outside the aristocracy. Others believe Netflix may shock us entirely, creating an original character to step into Sophie's shoes. This would keep book readers guessing and add fuel to the show's flair for the unexpected. And let's not forget the Easter eggs. Bridgerton has always been clever with foreshadowing. Anthony's obsession with bees in Season 1 eventually tied into his love story in Season 2. Could Benedict's fascination with masks, costumes, and art be the clue we've been overlooking? The symbols are all there, waiting to be connected. In the end, That is what makes the anticipation for Season 4 so intoxicating. The answers are hidden in the details we've already seen, and yet they remain just out of reach. Like Cinderella slipping away at midnight, the truth teases us before vanishing into the shadows, leaving only theories, whispers, and the thrill of the chase. If there's one thing Bridgerton has taught us, it's this: never expect the story to follow the book word for word. Netflix has mastered the art of adaptation, taking Julia Quinn's beloved novels and weaving them into something familiar, yet thrillingly unpredictable. The skeleton of the story is the same, but the flesh, the colors, the tone, it all shifts to match the Bridgerton world we know today. And this is why Benedict's supposed Cinderella tale is so fascinating. Will the show give us the fairy tale we're craving, or will it pull the rug from under us in true Shondaland fashion? Look at the past. Season 2 didn't just copy The Viscount Who Loved Me. Instead, it deepened Anthony and Kate's story with cultural richness, new emotional layers, and a fiery enemies-to-lovers tension that burned brighter than the novel. Season 3 did the same with Colin and Penelope, giving Penelope more agency and Colin more complexity than their book counterparts. The writers aren't afraid of remixing. They aren't afraid of bending the rules. In fact, they thrive on it. That's why Benedict's arc could be so much more than a fairy tale retelling. Yes, the Cinderella framework is irresistible. The masked ball, the forbidden love, the midnight escape. But Bridgerton may twist it into something even sharper. Perhaps Sophie Beckett won't be a servant at all, but a woman of scandal, someone rejected by society in a way that forces Benedict to choose love over reputation. Or maybe Netflix will introduce an entirely new character who embodies the Cinderella spirit without mirroring the book exactly. In doing so, they could surprise both casual viewers and die-hard readers. And let's not forget Bridgerton's signature. It blends romance with scandal. This isn't a world of simple happily ever afters. It's a world where gossip spreads faster than love letters, where every ballroom dance could end in a headline from Lady Whistledown. Imagine the chaos if Benedict's Cinderella isn't just forbidden by class, but entangled in secrets that could shatter the Bridgerton family's pristine image. That's the kind of twist Netflix loves, turning a fairy tale into a scandal, and a scandal into a love story worth fighting for. So while the books promise us a Cinderella tale, Bridgerton promises us something more dangerous, more layered, and ultimately more unforgettable. Because in this series, love isn't just about destiny. It's about defying the rules of the world and daring to rewrite them. And that is exactly the kind of story Benedict Bridgerton was born to tell. Close your eyes and imagine this. The season begins on a grand masquerade night. The ballroom glows under candlelight. Strings play a familiar melody with a modern twist, and masked faces blur into a sea of color and silk. Benedict Bridgerton steps into the frame, not just as a guest, but as a man on the edge of discovery. His gaze cuts through the glittering chaos until it lands on her, a woman cloaked in mystery, beauty, and danger. Their dance is not just a waltz, it is the ignition of destiny. But destiny never comes without conflict. Picture the morning after. The magic of the ball fades and reality strikes. This mysterious woman belongs to a world that society rejects. Too lowborn, too scandalous, or perhaps too dangerous to ever be welcomed into the Bridgerton circle. For Benedict, the struggle begins. Does he honor the rules of his family and society, or does he risk everything for a love that feels like fate itself? That tug of war between heart and tradition is the very storm Season 4 might unleash. And just as the story begins to settle, the writers could twist the knife. Imagine Lady Whistledown catching wind of the secret romance. Her words, dripping with wit and venom, spread through London faster than fire in dry grass. Overnight, Benedict's fairy tale turns into scandal. The Bridgerton name hangs in the balance, and his love story becomes a battlefield fought in whispers, rumors, and stolen glances. The ball that began like a dream now echoes like a warning. Midnight always comes, and with it, the price of love. Still, amidst the chaos, there is hope. Perhaps the season's climax will find Benedict standing in the very place he has always feared most, torn between duty and desire, family and freedom, reputation and truth. Will he follow the carefully paved road of a Bridgerton son, or will he leap into the unknown, choosing love over all else? That final choice, his choice, is what could define Season 4, not just as another romance, but as the season where Benedict Bridgerton steps out of the shadows and into the spotlight as the hero of his own fairy tale. So here we stand, at the edge of anticipation. The question of Benedict Bridgerton's destiny hangs like a chandelier over the ballroom, glittering but just out of reach. Will Season 4 embrace the fairy tale we've been waiting for? The glass slipper, the midnight escape, the prince chasing his Cinderella? Or will Netflix turn the story on its head, reshaping the familiar into something daring and new? That uncertainty is exactly what makes this season so intoxicating. Because in truth, Bridgerton has always been more than romance. It's about longing, it's about risk, it's about love that burns brightly against the cold weight of society's rules. And Benedict, with his restless spirit and dreamer's heart, is the perfect vessel for a story that feels bigger than life itself. His tale could be the fairy tale that teaches us not just about love, but about courage. The courage to choose passion over reputation, heart over tradition, and destiny over fear. But here's where you come in. What do you think Season 4 will hold for Benedict? Will Sophie Beckett finally step out of the shadows and claim her place in his story? Or will Netflix surprise us with a new twist that no one sees coming? Could his Cinderella be someone we've already met, hidden behind masks and secrets, waiting for her moment to return? The clock is ticking, the ballroom doors are about to open, and the season of answers is almost upon us. Until then, we can only dream, speculate, and hold on to the magic of possibility. So tell me, what's your prediction? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's see whose theory makes it past midnight. And if you want to keep unraveling the secrets of Bridgerton with me, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with fellow fans who believe in fairy tales as much as we do. Because one thing is certain. When it comes to Benedict Bridgerton, destiny is about to knock on the ballroom door.